As we mentioned, Congressman Roger Williams and his legislative aide, Zach Barth, are recovering this morning. Barth was shot yesterday in the leg while retrieving baseballs in the outfield. Williams hurt his ankle during the chaos. The two men are joining us now from the U.S. Capitol. Good morning to you both. There they are, Congressman and Zach Barth.
Good morning. Good morning.
Guys, I can't tell you how thrilled we are to see you alive and able to communicate with us today. We are so glad you're here. Zach, I want to start with you, because during this horrible situation, somehow you managed to tweet that you were okay. You managed to call your mom. Can you tell me what your thought process was at that time?
Sure. I was out there shagging fly balls in center field when I heard a loud pop. Then everybody stopped. We were wondering what was going on. Then we heard more pops, more cracks of a rifle. Saw somebody with a long gun. Somebody said shooters. They said run, and I hightailed it to right field. There's nowhere for me to go, so I got on all fours. And at that point, I saw him train his gun at me. Everything around me started to pop. I got hit in the leg and decided, I was full of adrenaline. My fight or flight kicked in, and decided if I wanted to live, I needed to make a run for it. So I ran down the first base line to the dugout. And at that point, I was, my single focus was to stay alive and to keep everybody around me safe. So I jumped into Congressman Williams' arms, kept his head down, kept my head down, and we didn't know what was going on, but thank the Lord for Special Agents Griner and Bailey. Without them, I don't know that I'd be talking to you right now.
Yeah.
Congressman Williams, what happened to you?
Well, I was on the third base side of the batting cage hitting ground balls to Trent Kelly, our third baseman, and probably didn't realize the shooter was maybe 20 yards behind me. So I finished and went over to the other side of the batting cage to hit ground balls to Steve Scalise, and I hit a ground ball to him, and immediately we heard a pop. Like many, I thought it was possibly a car backfiring. Then we heard pop, 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 and everybody yelled, "He's got a gun, run for cover." And I ran instinctively. I just ran for the dugout, and the dugout's about 6 foot in the ground, and I literally dove into the dugout on the concrete. And when I was in there, a lot of my other colleagues were there, and I found myself with Senator Flake and Congressman Mo Brooks, and we were there. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes Zach, my partner, sitting here on the left, and he came in, and he was bleeding, and Mo Brooks took his belt off and gave it to Senator Flake and I. We helped make a tourniquet to cut his bleeding off, and then we just kept our heads down. And in this dugout was generations, several generations. You had someone in the late 60s like myself, and we had Jack Barton, Joe Barton's son, in the dugout with us, 10 years old. Right. It was crazy. We didn't know where the gunfire was coming from. We didn't know who the fire was coming from. So we're blessed, but I want to tell you that as you've heard so many times, these Capitol Police saved every one of our lives. We would not be here today if it was not for the thin blue line that the Capitol Police did, and they're being heroes, and we owe it all to them.
One of the questions that remains and the investigators are looking into, do you think these were targeted shootings with someone in particular a target?
Well, I'm not so sure a target. I think the Congress people were the targets. I'm not so sure any one person was a target, but I do think that we were the targets as Congress people, and that's what he woke up to do, was to kill Congress people.
Congressman, our reporting is that a number of your colleagues have asked about diverting some potential campaign funds to provide protection or to hire security, because, as you know, Steve Scalise was the only one who actually had protection there, and if he wasn't there, Lord, we don't know what would have happened. Is that something you're interested in doing?
Well, I want to look at it, but I would say I thought Newt Gingrich put it pretty good the other night when he said, we in Congress, one thing about it is we're elected officials. We represent about 800,000 people. Not all of them vote for us, but they can talk to their representative about what their issues are. So I think that's important. But I also think when you have a group of congressmen, 25, 30 congressmen in one group, that we ought to study that as far as security, because that doesn't make for a good situation if somebody has us in their harm's way. So I do think it needs to be looked at and studied.
Will you both be going to the game tonight?
Well, I know Zach's going to go. I'm making him go to the game, and I'm the coach of the team along with Joe Barton. I'm going to be coaching third base on my crutches. So I'm going to guess I'm going to be the only third base coach in baseball tonight on crutches, but we're going to be there.
I think that was a yes.
Just to make sure nobody makes any wide turns around third base.
Zach, I know your mom is grateful for the call. Thank you so much.
Congressman Williams and Zach Barth, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.